Hello, everybody, and welcome to Step Up to the Mic. My name is Rory Paquette. I am your MC for the day, and we have a wonderful speaker with us today. Speaking today, we have author, educator, parent, the author of the Little Miss History line of books. She is going to talk to you folks today about the importance of history in our lives, the roles that parents and teachers both play, and some of the problems that we face in today's world. Please welcome to the stage Barbara Ann Mojica.
Hello, everyone. I am a parent, as Rory said, also a grandparent, an author, and a historian. Why do I think history is so important? Everything has a history. You can explain this to a child by just going over their short background. When the child was little, the child couldn't sit up. Say, what? There was once a time when you didn't know how to sit up. And then you sat up one day and then you learned how to crawl. After you learned how to crawl, you learned how to walk. And after you learned how to walk, you learned how to run. That is a simple way to explain history to a child. Why is history so important? History is the sum of all of our experiences. When you think of anything in the world, think about art, think about music. How could it have developed without a history, building one block upon the other? And we cannot understand how we got to where we are today as human beings and a part of society without understanding our history. We certainly cannot make a plan for doing something better in the future without understanding our mistakes, without understanding what we could have done to change things, to make them better. So history is not a collection of facts, a collection of dates. It is a sum of experiences, and every single one of us, from the day we are born, becomes a character in history. We all have a role to play. History is connected with people and places and events, who we have communicated with, what we have gotten to say, the things that have happened, and how the things that have impacted other people have also affected our lives. So history is dynamic, it is alive, and it is something that we are creating every day. How do parents play a part of this? Well, parents are our very first teachers, and parents need to instill the basic values in our children from a very, very young age. We need to give them the building blocks. What are some of those basic values that we need to give them so that they will grow up to be good citizens, a active part of their community? When a child's very young, the immediate community is the family. So we use our family history. We share with them the foods we like to eat, the culture we have grown up with, the kinds of clothing that we wear, and the traditions and rituals that we follow. As a child gets older, they learn that when they move out in the community, not everyone acts the same. Not everyone has the same culture and tradition. So they become aware of different ways of living. And then eventually, they will include some of those in their own history. And as we learn to study other people and other cultures in school as we grow up, then we become global citizens. But parents start that at that very young age. They teach children basic values like respect for other people, being honest, being kind, being grateful, having humility, developing traits of persistence, not giving up, becoming curious. So, how do we inculcate those values in our children as parents, even before they go to school? We provide them with good examples. We ask them questions, those questions that are going to become the basic parts of critical thinking. Critical thinking is being able to seek the truth by asking intuitive questions. So you ask your children why, who, what, when. Walking down the street, if you see something, pique your child's curiosity. Oh, look at that old building. Who do you think might have lived there? What do you think they did to earn a living? Where do you think they went to school? How do you think they got from one place to another? If that was a very old building, do you think they had the kind of transportation that we have today? All of these are questions that you can use to pique your child's curiosity and then ask them their opinions on things. Don't play the role of a parent who is the one who is in charge. Show them that sometimes we as parents make mistakes. Show them that we are human and show them that it's okay to make a mistake. It's a good thing to learn from our successes, but it's also a good thing to learn from our failures. What has happened in our schools in light of what we're talking about here, critical thinking and history? Well, as an educator, I have started teaching at the age of 20, and I've spent more than 40 years in education, both in general and special education. I learned that the educational system doesn't always meet each child's individual needs. And there are so many different ways of learning: visual, auditory, hands on, kinesthetic, children that are very sensory and need to feel and touch things. We don't always meet their needs. But even more than that, we teach them what to think, but sometimes our schools fail to teach our children how to think. How did we get to those answers? Those are the critical steps we need in order to have them aware of real, intuitive, investigative thinking. So we, as parents, can help that. But today in our schools, we have somehow evolved into that standardized program where we are so concerned with our children meeting the standards, passing that test, getting that certain score. And our children in educational systems have so many diverse needs. You, as parents, have the power to choose what type of education suits your child's needs and learning style. Maybe it's homeschooling. Maybe it's a private school. Maybe it's a charter school that will encourage a child to not only learn academic subjects, but follow a basic interest like art or music or a hands-on vocational training program. All of these programs deserve to be included in our educational system. And parents should seize the opportunity to choose the best one for their child. Our children face so many societal pressures today that we did not have when we were growing up. Everything it revolves around social media. Our children are addicted to their screens. And what do our social media programs provide for them? Sometimes it is useful information. Sometimes it is not. Most of social media transmits information that is based on algorithms that track what your child is interested in or who your child's friends are. And they will reinforce that point of view with your child over and over again. We know as parents and teachers that some of these viewpoints are very unhelpful for our children, as is witnessed with the large number of children who are facing so many mental and societal pressures. So we have to monitor our children's social media and be aware that what they're being given many times is just opinion after opinion. And usually, as the algorithm continues to reinforce what your child is looking at, the friends your child has, and the viewpoints that are being espoused on that social media, they are not given the truth. They are not given the opportunity to be critical thinkers. They are over and over again being immersed with the same information. And when your child does seek information on the internet, does your child really follow the steps of critical thinking? Or does the child click on the internet and look to see the answer? So your child asks a question and goes to page one on the Google or whatever social engine is being used. Your child probably takes the first answer. There are probably 10 or 12 pages of information, but your child will never go further than that first answer. Again, that first answer on the internet may be the result of the most popular searches. So we are faced with this dilemma. You must seek the best education for your child. And I try to supplement that by writing my history series, which gives children the opportunity to seek answers for themselves. In the Little Miss History Travels to book series, I have them visit sometimes iconic places that they're very well familiar with, like the Statue of Liberty or Mount Rushmore, but also different areas of interest, like archaeology in La Brea tar pits, or the North Pole, where we talk about nations all over the world, what their interest is in the Arctic, the animals of the Arctic, the geography of the Arctic. And we talk about myths, we talk about legends, we talk about literature. I ask your children questions that will try to get them to think, and then when they are finding an area of interest, they can go off independently and investigate that area. Hopefully, some of them will get with you the opportunity to visit some of these places. So I ask you to join with me in this journey to raise children who are going to seek the truth, find out for themselves what really is true or untrue, find out about people that were successful in our history, also find out about those who were unsuccessful and the mistakes that they made. And as my Little Miss History character would say, if you don't know your history, you don't know what you're talking about.
Barbara and Mojica, everybody. Barbara, that was absolutely amazing. I loved everything that you had to say. I've got a couple of questions for you if you feel like you're up to it.
Sure.
All right, beautiful. Let me ask you, where did you get this idea to make this character to write these books? I mean, you've got so much into it.
Well, the character I have to credit my husband with. My husband is my illustrator. So the books are multimedia in approach, which means we use actual photography. So in almost every case, except the North Pole, of course, we have not personally visited the North Pole, but we go to the sites first, whether it's a president's home like Monticello, or whether it's an archaeological and museum site like La Brea Tar Pits, and we take photographs, visit, and explore the site. My husband based the character who narrates the book series. She is a cartoon character, Little Miss History, and she's an exaggerated version of a younger me. I was always an intrepid explorer. I wanted to see the world. And as a young child, I grew up in a family that didn't have means. We were relatively poor. In fact, we didn't even have a car. So I didn't get to travel very much when I was a kid. And that imbued me with this sense of wonderment. Plus, I loved history and I wanted to be an explorer like some of these people that I had read about and enjoyed so much. So he based the character on a younger version of me. So she is made to look like a teenager with exaggerated cartoon-like features who I hope that many children will see some part of themselves in her. So she wears rose-colored glasses because she has an optimistic viewpoint of the world. And she wears this kind of hiking or campy national park ranger type of outfit because she's an explorer and I used to love to explore and hike and do that sort of thing and
Nice.
go to interesting outdoor places. She wears these big boots, and they're in honor of my father who had used feet. So she's just this funny conglomerate. She has very exaggerated features. Um, my husband has done a lot of comic book illustrations, so he made her this kind of funny comic character. So I'm just hoping that children will identify with her. And she's the narrator. So she asked these kind of critical thinking questions. For instance, in the Mount Rushmore book, we talk about how the lands were taken from the Lakota Sioux unjustly. And we talk about how now they are building their own monument, the Crazy Horse Memorial. And what do the kids think about that? Should we have one monument? Should we have two? And then we talk about Native American rights, and we talk about what the UN is doing, and we ask children's opinions. In other books, I ask their opinions about all different things. Like in Sequoia National Park, we're talking about the sequoia trees. We bring in science, how the tree grows, what the trees are used for, the animals that live in the park, the Native Americans who used to live in the park. And then we talk about the air pollution because strangely enough, the Sequoia National Park is located in one of the most polluted valleys, the San Joaquin Valley area, where we have all of this air pollution, and we have a drawing of Little Miss History wearing a gas mask and asking the kids, well, do they have any ideas? What could they do about air pollution? What would be their suggestions? So in every book, I talk about what's going on. I ask them, what do they think? Do they have ideas to solve problems? And I also mention a lot of figures who have been forgotten figures in history.
Nice.
And what do they think about that? So we talk in the Battleship Iowa, we're talking about Alonzo Swan, who was with an African American segregated unit because they were segregated at that time, and he remained at his post, even though almost every gunner at that post was killed. And it took 50 years for him to be recognized with the honor, the Naval Cross that he should have had
Gotcha.
been recognized with.
Yeah.
So we bring into light, sometimes history forgets people, and we want to make sure that we reinforce the message which with children that each of us plays an important part in history. Some of us may not be recognized, but we all have a role to play as parts of our family, our local community, and the world community at large.
Nice. Nice. I love the mission. And that was a great presentation that you put up. How many books are in the series?
There are 17 right now.
17. All right. Wow. That's
And
great.
I have a few of them in progress. We have visited several other sites that are not completed yet. The books take a long time to do because um, with a children's book, there's always a lot of revision. So after I get back, I have the photography, I have the basic material, I go into deeper research, and then with a children's book, it has to be boiled down quite a bit. So, on average, there might be 10 to 12 rewrites before I get the script down to where I want the script. And then it has to go to illustration. So then my husband illustrator has to lay out the text. He does all of the layout as well. He lays out the text. He does thumbnails of sketches as to how he might want to portray it. Sometimes there are minor glitches in the way I have the written text, and he can't see a way to envision that pictorially. And I might have to make a minor revision or change the order. So it takes a good 6 months once I sit down and start the writing process, at least 6 months to get it into the finished product.
That's great. You can tell that you have a serious passion for what you're doing. With the speech that you gave to start our program, if you could speak in front of any group of people, um, who would it be?
That's close between parents and teachers. I think parents, maybe ideally at a homeschool meeting or
Nice.
a parent teacher group. That would be ideal to reach both the teachers and the parents
Wonderful.
at the
I
same
love that.
time.
I love that. We'll make sure that's in the show notes too. There are a lot of organizations like that. I can't wait to see you talking to them about your mission and what you're doing. Barbara, what is the absolute best way for anybody to reach out to you in case they want to find out more, or they want to talk to you, or they want to invite you on to speak at their, movement, their seminar?
Well, the best place would be to go to my website, littlemisshistory.com. I have direct links to all of my resources there, the blog, the YouTube channel, um, where to contact me. I also have an interactive email. So if they go to the website, they can immediately contact me and reach me by email that way.
That's wonderful. All right. The last thing I want to ask you about is because if people want to find out more about you, you also have a YouTube channel that I know you want to, get out there. Want to just briefly tell everybody a little bit about what that is before we kind of wrap up?
Okay, my YouTube channel started out during COVID. So during COVID, I was aware that a lot of parents were looking for supplementary teaching information. That's when a lot of parents became aware of some of the problems in our educational system, where they were being made aware of what is taught and what was not being taught at the
Mhm.
same time. So I do these mini teaching lessons, which are on all different subjects, not just history, uh, basically for elementary and middle school children. Little, I call it 2 minute teacher. It could be a reinforcement lesson in math. It could be about history. It could be about citizenship. It could be like something like what's the difference between a fact and an opinion. Little things that can be implemented very quickly and easily into their life
Nice.
program. I've also recently developed a course on peer pressure. And I am going to be offering that through email and video, a series of video clips that I would send them once a week, and then suggestions as to how they could help their child deal with peer pressure uh, with very simple techniques like role playing, how to develop their self-esteem, you know, tips on how to develop critical thinking, and have better communication with their children as well.
Nice. Nice. Well, I love that. And congratulations on having all these things. We'll make sure all this stuff is in the show notes. And I cannot wait to see you delivering your talk at an organization or gathering, for your subject matter. I think it's going to be great. And you did a great job today. Thank you
Oh,
very
thank
much
you.
for coming on and doing what you did. That was great. Very brave. I loved it. So, all
I
right.
would like to thank you again for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem. No problem at all. Appreciate having you on today. Folks, this has been another episode of Step Up to the Mic. When you're ready, when you're ready to give your talk, when you're ready to say, "Hey, I want to be on stage. I want people to hear what I have to say." When you're ready to say, "I too have a voice," then you are ready to step up to the mic.